Duke, you've done this many times. Your roster this year, from the outside looking in, seems like it's as complete as we've seen in a long time here. How confident are you in the roster you've built this year to give this team the opportunity to go back to where they were last year?
Yeah, that's the number one goal we have, win the Super Bowl. And that's every year. And we feel like we got the guys to do that. I think our guys feel like they're the right guys to do that. It's got to come together. It starts tomorrow, and it has to come together like it did last year. They got to play for each other. They got to play selfless. They got to buy into what the coaches are telling them to do. We got to stay healthy. We got to have some fortune, but do we have the guys that can get us there? Absolutely. We proved that last year. And so it'll be fun to build on that and see the guys back in the building, and I know everybody's motivated.
There was an obvious emphasis to help the offensive line this offseason. Now that you've seen the guys here in offseason workouts, heading into training camp, how confident are you that these are the right people to help the offensive line take the next step?
Really impressed with the new additions, really impressed with the progress of the guys we had last year too. And so that's a process. They got to play as one. It's not 5 guys playing as 5 guys. It's 5 guys playing as one. And so it'll be up to the coaches and the players to determine who the 5 best are and how to get them in position to play as one. And we really like a lot of the guys we have. And they're motivated. And they're guys that love playing football. And so you can't go wrong with guys with talent that love playing football. And that's kind of the number one thing we look for as a scouting staff.
We understand it's not always easy constructing a roster. Certainly there are always challenges. How much of a challenge is the Jesse Bates situation currently for this football team as you start training?
We've got nothing but regard for Jesse. He's a big part of what we do, and he's a success story. He's one of my favorite draft picks of all time. I love being around him. We tried for a couple years to get something that was both amenable to him and us, with our competing interest on our roster, and it didn't come together. We're hopeful maybe there's a chance in the future for it to come together, but we're just counting on him to be a big part of what we do and win the Super Bowl this year. And that's, but I've got nothing but love for Jesse, and it didn't come together for us on a long-term extension, but we're counting on him this year to be a big part of what we do.
I'm curious, this question here. And we see the quarterback contracts across the league are just astronomical. And I'm sure as someone in your position, you have to start planning and thinking about that several years ahead. I'm curious how far ahead you start thinking about. You start negotiating with Joe next year, but how long, when you look at roster construction, do you have to start thinking about the quarterback number and what that's going to do to a team?
Well, I don't, I'm not an ostrich. I don't bury my head in the sand. I understand what's going on out there. And so I think about things years in advance a lot of times. And when you get a quarterback and you get a quarterback like Joe, that's something you have to have in the back of your mind. And that'll be a bridge that we cross, when the time comes to cross it. But really the focus of everybody is how can we put together the 2022 Bengals in the best fashion we can and give us the best chance to go win the Super Bowl. And so while we have those things in the back of our mind, that's not our focus right now.
When do you think that bridge would be crossed, though? Is that a preemptive thing on your part? You don't want to wait on him to come to you.
I don't have an answer for that. We'll see when it's crossed, But again, our focus is on this year. Joe's focus is on this year. And after this season's over, we'll see where we go.
How pleased are you with, you don't want to call it a backup plan or plan B, but with Jesse and that situation going on? It seems like you have some guys, some candidates that might be more than capable of filling.
We're always trying to find guys that can fill in if needed. It takes more than 22 guys to play an NFL season. You've got to have all 16 practice squad guys ready, and we showed that last year, where you can bring guys up and play them right away. And so we're counting on all 53 active roster guys, all 16 practice squad guys to be ready. Our focus is always on if we have an injury, if we have a need, do we have the right guy to step in and continue and not hurt the team by playing. And so we think we've got that at that position and a number of other positions. But again, we're counting on Jesse. Jesse's a proven commodity, a very good player, and a big part of what we do.
When you say you are counting on him, how confident are you that he's going to play for the Bengals this year?
I don't have any information on that, other than, it's our desire for him to be a part of what we're doing.
Duke, you have a team that made a run to the Super Bowl this past year, and the optics from the outside looking in would tell you that this year's team is going to be better than last year's team, at least on paper.
Yeah.
Do you feel better about this year's Bengals team than you did going into last year?
I always feel good about our teams, and I felt good about last year's team at this time. I feel really good about this year's team. You got to have some fortune. You got to stay healthy. You got to have some breaks when it matters. But the way that we feel about our group at every position group is pretty strong. And so it's got to come together, and the guys have to come and do the work. And they've got to come together as a football team. It's not 22 individuals playing. The 22 best individuals don't win the Super Bowl. The one best football team does. And so that's our focus, is to put together the one best football team.
What about the, coming off the Super Bowl, what Joe Burrow has done, and how much did that change this past offseason for you in terms of dealing with free agency? Did it make a big difference coming off the Super Bowl?
Well, we always attack free agency with, who's available, who has interest in us, what do we have to offer, and can we find common ground? And obviously when you have a team that's recognized like we're recognized, maybe you get a little more interest from some guys, and then it's up to us to try to fit that together the best we can, looking at our needs, looking at our current roster. Joe's integral in that. People recognize Joe, and they know that he's a guy they'd like to play with, and they believe that he can lead the team in an effective way, and so that's all positive, and we try to take advantage of all positives we have to put together the best team.
Duke, what is it about Jesse Bates that makes him so valuable, and how important is it that he's a part of this coming season's Bengals team?
Yeah, Jesse's been a great leader for us, and he's stayed healthy. He makes plays when they matter, and so anytime you can get a veteran that is used to the NFL grind and is a good leader for your football team back, that's what makes him valuable. He's a talented guy with the right mental makeup.
Duke, frontline free agents like the offensive linemen guys solicited in free agency, Joe Burrow, team success, all a big part of them deciding to Cincinnati. When you work on the back end of the roster, and even the practice squad, kind of contemplating some potential candidates for that when you're recruiting guys. Have you noticed that any difference, like, oh, well, boy, the team is struggling a little bit, I might have a better shot to make that roster, or is it, I want to be part of the Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals success? Has there been any difference in that solicitation?
I don't know. We pursue the guys that we're interested in, and whether they have other options and whether they're choosing us for this reason or that reason, we normally don't get into. We pursue them because we have interest, because we believe they can help our football team. And we try to sell the Cincinnati Bengals, if we're competing against other teams. And so if they view us in a positive light, that's great, but we don't really get into that with them that much.
When you look at the contracts that you've got coming up, eligible for extensions in the next couple seasons, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jesse Bates right now,
Yeah.
How difficult is it in this day and age to juggle all of those different guys, and how much?
Well, we'll cross those bridges when they come. We're not unaware of what those mean. We want good players. We want guys to succeed. We want guys to have a career that commands high pay. That's what we do. That's the vision when we draft guys. And when that happens, we're not mad about it. We just try to handle it as best as that we can and put together the best team. There's finite resources. There's a finite salary cap, and it's our job to try to fit all of it together in the best way that we can. And we want all of our good players to stay. We drafted them, we developed them, they produced, and they're deserving of second contracts and sometimes third contracts. And we want to reward them in that way, but it's all got to fit together.
You get a chance to take a breath and say, enjoy, I guess, the fruits when you get a Kappa, then a Karras in free agency,
Yeah.
then along comes Collins, and fans are going, wow, wow, holy smokes. Do you kind of, after you get that third one, say, man,
Yeah.
kind of...
We put together a plan, and you try to work your plan. You plan your work, you work your plan, and it doesn't always come through the exact way you plan it. But sometimes it comes through in a way that's pretty darn close. And when that happens, you really feel good about it. now the work starts, for that group. They don't just come in because they have names and play well as a group. They come in because they gel as a group. And so now is really the starting point of that, and we're looking forward to seeing how they gel.
Your perspective in the chair you're sitting in, when you see fans out there excited about the potential signing of guys like Lyle Collins or these other offensive linemen or even other position guys, do you see that excitement from your chair, or do you try to keep it like this?
It's hard to live in town and not feel the excitement when it's high for the team, and it doesn't drive what we do. We try to be measured in what we do. We try to be focused in what we do. We don't try to be emotional about what we do. It can kind of get in the way at times, and there's a lot of emotion surrounding our football team, but we try to be very measured and methodical in our approach and in our beliefs about what's going to make the best team. And so, while it's fun and while it's great to see the community engaged and excited, we try to take a deep breath and say, hey, look, this is what's going to make our team the best. Let's not make the emotional decision. Let's make the sound decision. But it's fun. We've got great fans, and last year was the most enjoyable year of my career here. And just seeing the fan engagement and how they supported the football team, it's just great. You can really see why this is a fantastic football town.
The word we hear mentioned a lot from players, especially over the last couple seasons, has been culture. How much of a thought is that word and what it means when you're adding guys, especially over the last couple seasons?
Yeah, we want to add guys that fit what we do, both physically and intellectually what we do. And Zach's done a great job of developing a culture, having a vision for a culture, and then implementing it. And it comes with guys. It's not a culture that every 31 other teams don't want. They want guys, and we want guys that love playing football. They don't only play it because of what it brings. Everybody loves what football brings them when they're an NFL football player, but they love playing football because of the competition and because of the game itself. And if you can find guys that enjoy the camaraderie of the locker room, the grind of practices, and the competition on the field on Sundays and Mondays, that's the golden ticket. They enjoy the process and playing football rather than just playing it because of what it brings them.
Would you say that the locker room in terms of culture is in a better spot than it was maybe 3 years ago?
I think every year is a little different. Last year it was fantastic. The guys played for each other, and there was a real camaraderie, and we had a bunch of guys that enjoyed playing football, and we want to get back there this year, and it all starts right now.
How many things are there in player development? You bring a guy in and you think there's upside. You don't really know exactly what that upside is, but you're always striving to achieve it. How many different things have to fall in place properly for a player to go into the development stages that you're anticipating in mind?
I think they have to rise to the occasion when the opportunity comes. I think health plays into that a lot. Staying healthy early in your career and creating some confidence within yourself that you can do this. That's important. I think that having good mentors on your football team that can take a young guy and kind of show him how to prepare and how to get to work early and what it takes in practice and how to practice correctly. Those are all important steps, and then a coaching staff that gives opportunity and creates a vision for different players and allows them to play with their skill set the best they can.